So welcome, and according to where you are in the world, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. This is the latest in a series of global webinars organised and sponsored by the Eye on Earth Alliance. And we extend an especially warm welcome to the many people who are joining this webinar for the first time. My name is Derek Gliddon, and I'm the organiser and host for today's webinar. I work for the Environment Agency of Abu Dhabi, one of the founder members of the Eye on Earth movement, and I'm speaking to you today from Abu Dhabi in the United Arab Emirates. It's my privilege and pleasure to host today's webinar and very soon to introduce our distinguished speakers. Eye on Earth is a global community of individuals and organisations that collaborate across disciplines and geographies to strengthen the environmental component of sustainable development. Eye on Earth focuses on enabling the demand, creation, availability, discoverability, and usability and use of environmental and related socio and economic data, information, and knowledge for all stakeholders in society. The Eye on Earth movement has two main components. First, a convening and governing partnership of some of the foremost data and information-focused organizations in the environmental dimension of sustainable development. And they are, in alphabetical order, the Group on Earth Observations, the International Union for the Conservation of Nature, IUCN, UN Environment, the World Resources Institute, and my employer, the Environment Agency of Abu Dhabi, to whom a special word of thanks is extended for providing the staff time and enabling technology for this webinar series. The second and core component of Eye on Earth is yourselves, a multidisciplinary, truly global community of experts defined by a shared passion for the Eye on Earth mission and vision and principles. The magnitude and diversity of the Eye on Earth community is evidenced by the number and distribution of people who have registered for this webinar. You are over 200 people from over 70 different countries, and you represent every part of the globe. Whether you are attending the live event or watching afterwards, welcome. By sharing knowledge and wisdom across disciplines and geographies, and driven by a shared passion, we can leverage the synergies that exist between us, close gaps, and make a significant contribution to enabling sustainable development for everyone. It is now my privilege and pleasure to introduce our speakers. Because we have three speakers, I will just give key information about our speakers today. Judy Braus is Executive Director of the North American Association for Environmental Education. Judy has a wealth of experience in environmental education, in the environmental education profession, with a focus on conservation education, diversity and inclusion, and using the power of education to help healthier communities that empower people to restore and protect the environment. Judy joined the North American Association from the National Audubon Society, where she was the Senior Vice President of Education and Centres. Prior to that, she led the education programs at the World Wildlife Fund, the US Peace Corps, and the National Wildlife Federation. Judy is a proven fundraiser, working with foundations, corporations, government, and individual donors to raise more than $35 million for education and conservation. She is committed to strong partnerships and has negotiated and implemented lasting relationships with major organizations from the private, public, and not-for-profit sectors. Melissa Hopkins Tuger joined the North American Association for Environmental Education to work on the Global Environment Education Partnership. She has more than 15 years of experience working in environmental education. She directed the National Audubon Society's Toyota Together Green program, a $25 million partnership between Audubon and Toyota. While at Audubon, she developed the program's first in-house evaluation system to measure the nationwide conservation impact of Audubon's signature community conservation program. Gatri Raghwa lived here in Abu Dhabi in the United Arab Emirates for 27 years and is a former colleague of my own, in fact. She recently moved to her home country of India. She's worked to raise the profile of environmental education since its inception here in the Emirate of Abu Dhabi. She worked as a volunteer with NGOs and with the government to promote environmental education. At Environment Agency of Abu Dhabi, she worked as a senior specialist and strategized for environmental education at the government level, developing, designing, and implementing programs for schools, colleges, and other audiences. She has a long and distinguished history, but I will move forward for the purposes of speed. At this point, I will hand over to our speakers. And I'm going to hand over to Judy.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much, Derek, for all the work to put on this webinar and to the Eye on the Earth Network. And I want to welcome all our guests to this webinar as well, the Global Environmental Education Partnership, Building Bridges to Create a Global Learning Network. And we are so excited to be part of this. We do love talking about environmental education, and we have such great respect for the work that Eye on the Earth is doing. So thank you so much and welcome to this session. And throughout my remarks and Melissa's and Gatri, we might use the acronym EE. And I just want you to know it means environmental education, not electrical engineering or anything else like that. We're going to be talking about environmental ed. In the short time that we have, I'd like to give an overview of environmental education and how we're defining it, and a little bit about the organization that I work for, the North American Association for Environmental Education. Then we will go into this exciting new vibrant learning network called the Global Environmental Education Partnership and talk about how you can get involved. And then we'll hear remarks from Gatri, who is on the JEEP advisory group. And then, as Derek said, we're happy to take questions and answers. So before we get started, we wanted to do something a little interactive, and since we can't talk to all of you, we'd like to find out a little bit about yourselves. So if you can find the chat box, and we're going to ask you 2 questions, okay? The first one is, just type in your city and country in the chat box and send it to us. And we just want to see where everybody is from. So take a minute, find the chat, and go ahead and type in your city and your country. And we'll see how good you are at finding the chat box.
Sure. So we have Louisville in the US, Leicester in the UK, Avignon in France, Geneva, Heidelberg, Germany, Abu Dhabi, Tehran in Iran, Washington, DC, Alexandria, Egypt, Manama, I'm just sampling, Princeton, New Jersey, Geneva, Abu Dhabi, Washington, Mexico, St. Lucia. Hello, St. Lucia. Gros Soleil, nice place. And it goes on. Uruguay, India, Netherlands.
Perfect. What a great group. Welcome, everybody. And then the second one is, what do you actually do? So if you could quickly type in, are you an educator, a scientist, a policy person, a professor, a communicator? Let's just hear a few of those. And Derek, again, if you could, there we go. I see some of them, policy analyst and advocate for social justice. We have NGOs, we have a GIS analyst, environmental affairs, educator. Great, what a nice mix. Thank you, everybody. We have such a great diverse group. Okay, so we'll get started talking a little bit about environmental education and NAAEE. So I just wanted to give you a high-level view of environmental education. This might not be your main field of study, and many of us in the field go back to a meeting that happened in 1977 in Tbilisi, Georgia, in the former Soviet Union, when 68 countries came together to talk about how education can help address the growing environmental and social challenges. And the Tbilisi Declaration that came out of that meeting actually created the goals and objectives for the modern day field of environmental education, talking about increasing people's knowledge and awareness, developing the skills and expertise to address these challenges, helping to motivate people to get involved, and the most important is helping people both individually and collectively make informed decisions and take responsible action. So we often talk about from awareness to action, even though this is not linear. All of these components are so important as we think about the problems that we need to solve. And environmental education is really a process to help people get engaged, to understand the issues, to provide that deeper learning that can lead to lifelong learning and also global citizenry that is informed and educated about these issues. So we all know that we are facing massive environmental loss. If you look at any of the trends, we're really creating serious challenges at a planetary level like never before. And we have the technology now to know how serious these issues are and trying to think about how we can solve them. And it's not just environmental issues, It's also massive social issues, as all of you on the phone know. So you can't talk about the environment without also talking about social issues and people. So we are all about creating a healthy environment and also creating healthy communities and protecting the environment. And we talk about a focus on sustainability. And I think everybody on this call is probably very familiar with thinking about sustainability, that you can talk about environmental integrity, but you have to talk also about social equity in the world and community well-being and making sure everybody has economic opportunities and shared prosperity to have a good living. And we're also very supportive of the Sustainable Development Goals, these ambitious 17 goals to create a better world, such as ending poverty and hunger and addressing biodiversity issues. So the Global Environmental Education Partnership was designed to think about how can education help address the environmental and social problems. And we talked about how can we co-create a global network, working with our colleagues around the world to advance the important work that's taking place in every country around the world. And we also wanted to talk about how could we learn from each other, how could we share the most effective practices, and how can we work better together? Because we all are working on very similar issues in different contexts. So the JEEP is really all about partnerships, and it's really all about collaboration. And it started with partnerships between EPA Taiwan, the Environmental Protection Administration, NAAEE, and US EPA, talking about how can we advance the work of environmental education. And before we get more into the JEEP, I wanted to just mention that NAAEE, our organization, is the secretariat of the JEEP. And to just give you a little bit of background about who we are the professional association for the field of environmental education in North America, but we work around the world. We like to say we're a champion of environmental education. We're the backbone organization for the field. And our mission is to advance environmental literacy and civic engagement. And we talk about using the power of education because it is such a powerful tool to create a more equitable and sustainable future for all. And we look at environmental education as this really critical tool in our toolbox. It's not the only tool. We have policy, we have science, we have communication, but together we are stronger in addressing the environmental and social challenges. NAAEE, like the JEEP, serves a very broad audience, formal and non-formal educators in all sectors, from earliest learners to our most senior learners. And our goal is to create positive change in communities, in countries, in regions, of trying to move the bar forward. And NAAEE does have a number of global partners growing. We have more than 30 members, and we have just been so excited to work with so many people in so many places as we all try and create this better future for all. So the mission of the JEEP is to create a vibrant and inclusive learning network. We're looking at how do we build capacity in countries around the world? How can we strengthen environmental education? And what does it mean to build global EE capacity at the country level and at the regional level? And when we were thinking about the Global Environmental Education Partnership, we did our homework. We were trying to look and see what were other groups doing? Where were the gaps? How could we complement and not duplicate? And so we talked to a lot of people, probably some of you on the phone, and we asked key experts about the needs in the field. And one of the things about the JEEP that we are so excited about is that it's not just government. Government is critical, of course, and it's not just NGOs. It's everybody is welcome at the table, all bringing their expertise, universities, government, NGOs. And so we're an informal network. We're trying to adapt to what the needs are and filling a gap. And we are all about building stronger partnerships and creating a learning network. And I'm going to turn this over to my colleague, Melissa Hopkins Tuger, who was already introduced, who's going to talk about the goals of the JEEP and talk about the call for action.
Thank you, Judy. So we have 5 key goals for the JEEP, and as Judy mentioned earlier, the first is really to connect and build bridges so that we can share effective practice and resources. We want to promote effective collaboration. And the second is to demonstrate the value and the impact of environmental education as a tool to help us achieve the Sustainable Development Goals. We also want to build leadership and really support the next generation of leaders in our field. And the fourth is to build a global fund to help sustain our work. The final goal is to promote innovation and really develop a global think tank. And these are all really high-level aspirational goals. And when we started, one of the first things that we did through the JEEP is to conduct a needs assessment to get a sense of what countries needed most. And some of the needs that were identified were professional development, sharing effective practice, supporting policy, and really promoting, thinking about research and evaluation and how we can connect that to practice. We rely very heavily on an expert advisory group of environmental education leaders from around the world, from various sectors, from government to NGO to academics. And we all meet twice a year and connect virtually throughout the year. Here's another picture. And now I'm going to talk a little bit about a process that we started about a year ago. As a global champion for environmental education, the JEEP has an important role to play in really elevating the importance and the impact of environmental education, and also creating a network around shared priorities. So I'm going to be talking to you about a call to action that we launched last year. And Judy touched on this, so I'm not going to say too much, but to give you a little background, the Tbilisi Declaration was developed 41 years ago by UNESCO and 65 member states, and it's really largely considered the founding of modern day environmental education. And it emphasizes many of the concepts Judy discussed, including really an emphasis on the pillars of sustainability. And in 2017, the Tbilisi Declaration celebrated its 40th anniversary. And we had an opportunity to really reflect. And so we had the opportunity to look back and think about what have we accomplished in 40 years and what have we learned? And also to look forward. What are our priorities for environmental education in the next decade? Where will we be by Tbilisi plus 50? And so in October 2017, the JEEP, along with, in partnership with environmental leaders from around the world, put together a set of 10 key actions that we believe are crucial to take over the next 10 years. And these actions were developed being mindful of the many efforts that have come before, from the Millennium Development Goals to the Sustainable Development Goals, among many others. And these 10 key actions are, and I am going to read these off. The first is champion environmental education. In other words, really advocate for environmental education and promote it as a tool. Build a bigger and more inclusive field, create and empower global citizens, grow global environmental education leadership, invest in research and evaluation, connect and collaborate for change, create networks, expand EE's role in achieving conservation success, provide universal access to environmental education and also nature, strengthen EE's role in achieving the SDGs, and develop a global fund to sustain the field. And through this website, actnowforee.org, we developed a feedback survey to ask people from around the world what they think are the top priorities for environmental education, to weigh in on these 10 actions and answer the question, what do you think is most important? And we also asked them to suggest some next steps and advise us if they thought if anything was missing. So to give you a sense of the timing, we released this survey in October 2017. We closed it 6 months later around Earth Day in April 2018. And we received hundreds of responses from 46 countries. And then we took some time to analyze the responses. And I'm just going to share with you very quickly some of the key findings. Interestingly, participants didn't necessarily rank one action as more important than another. They demonstrated in various ways support for all 10 of the suggested actions, and there was quite a bit of overlap between them. And so instead, what we ended up was a very rich diversity of perspectives on what steps we could take to achieve these 10 actions. And this is just kind of a graphic of the number of respondents from around the world. And so today, we are actually pleased to share with you the results of that effort. And we have relaunched the website actnowforee.org with the results of this survey. And you're actually one of the first groups to get to preview this. And so I'm going to share with you some of the highlights of participant feedback, and you can also go onto the website to learn more. So for the action, create and empower global citizens, some of the things participants said: develop an education system and platform to equip students with competencies to contribute to sustainable development. Change the focus from less about awareness and more around action, and create a global community. And for the action, strengthen EE's role in achieving the SDGs, just a couple here. Align better to the SDGs, promote project-based learning, develop curricular resources, and link to social issues. Prioritize global collaborations, and link to the development of a global fund to the Sustainable Development Goals. And so as a next step, what will happen next as a result of these 10 actions? What the JEEP has done is ask the question: if we are successful in accomplishing these 10 actions over the next 10 years and beyond, what could we accomplish together? So we have developed 3 visionary goals. Number 1, that every nation has an environmentally informed, empowered, and active populace and workforce. Number 2, that the leadership of every government, business, NGO, and educational institution uses environmental education to achieve environmentally sustainable outcomes. And number 3, every educational institution, formal and non-formal, incorporates environmental literacy into its mission, goals, and activities. And so we're asking you today to consider going to this website and signing the pledge. And please share this with others. You all represent many different sectors, and we heard earlier from social justice to educators to policy analysts. You represent many different countries, and so we really encourage you to consider going to the website, signing on, and sharing this. And what next? We want to continue to build this global network. It's wonderful today to connect with the Eye on Earth network, another amazing network, and to see where we can all connect the dots together and do our work more effectively. And if you do sign on to the pledge and you opt in, you can receive more communications from the JEEP, including a newsletter that we're hoping to launch in the next couple months. So we encourage you to stay connected. And I'm going to now turn it over to Judy, who's going to talk about some additional resources available to you.
Thanks, Melissa. That was such a great overview of the call for action and the pledge. And as Melissa said, we really hope that you will help us spread the word. Part of it is championing this work and the value that educators around the world are doing to create a better world. We wanted to talk just about a few of the resources that are available to all of you. You can go to nwaae.org to find a number of resources. We have over 1,000 resources there, and so many other things that hopefully will help you in whatever you are doing. Also, the jeep.org is another website focused specifically on JEEP activities. And as Melissa said, actnowforee.org. And we'll have these and post them in the chat room too, so you can see those. If you go to the JEEP website, you will see that we have 15 case studies that are trying to demonstrate what does good practice look like. These are from around the world. And what we tried to do with these case studies is develop a template so that we're emphasizing what worked, what might not have worked, what you can learn, how you can replicate to really try and share effective practice around the world. And if any of you have ideas, we're always looking for new ideas for case studies. We also are building country profiles on the jeep.org. Before we launched this site, we couldn't find out what different countries were doing, like what's going on in Vietnam, what's going on in Chile, of trying to understand at a very high level what every country is doing related to environmental education, highlighting the associations that exist in the world, some of the policies that exist to mandate environmental education, and trying to just become a clearinghouse of what's going on globally with environmental education. And if you go to the nwaae.org site, you'll also see something called EE Pro, which is something that we developed with so many partners several years ago, and we're continuing to update it. It's a professional learning and networking site for anyone who cares about anything related to environmental education. And if you go to EE Pro, you'll see that it's a web portal. It means that you can go there and you can take part in discussions. You can upload resources. You can find resources. You can find research. You can do so many different things there that will allow other people to share what you're learning, to allow you to take part in discussions, and hopefully to allow you to find people and resources and research that will help you do what you need to do better. And we're also trying to build a global network. So we have internationalized EE Pro. It's connected to the Jeep. So again, you can go to the Jeep and you can sign in, and it's free to sign up for EE Pro. Very easy to do. And these are some of the discussion groups. There's a global EE discussion group, but there are also discussion groups on climate change education and connecting people to nature and research and evaluation. One of the other things you'll find on EE Pro is, just like the Eye on the Earth has webinars that continually help us learn more, we are also producing monthly webinars, and they are recorded and on our YouTube site. So there are a number of opportunities to hear what's going on, mostly in North America, but not exclusively, on so many different issues and disciplines and ideas. We're trying to bring new ideas to the field. As Melissa mentioned, one of the goals of the Jeep and NAAE is to build leadership. And one of those programs is a program called EE 30 Under 30. And this is a program where we are on the search for amazing young people under 30 who are doing work in their communities to make the world a better place. So the 2019 application process is going to be announced in May of 2019. We hope that you will nominate your colleagues and friends under the age of 30. We're looking for amazing young leaders who actually have accomplished something by the time they're 30. And we have actually had honorees who are 14, 15, 16, as well as 29. And this is our 2018 group. And we actually have our annual conference next week. Gatri will be going, Melissa will be going in Spokane, Washington, and I think we have over 1,300 people coming, including more than 15 of this class, as well as some alumni 30 under 30, to provide professional development opportunities for all of them. It's a wonderful group. More than 60% are people of color, and we're so excited that they will get to interact with each other at the conference. And the conference is October 10th through the 13th. And again, you can come back to NAAE.org if you're not going to the conference, and we'll be recording all the plenaries, and hopefully you'll be able to stay updated on what's happening with both the Jeep and NAAE. To just remind you that you can visit actnowforee.org to take the pledge. You can find resources through NAAE.org or the Jeep. Please sign up for EE Pro. Again, it's free and easy, and you can connect to a number of different resources and discussion groups. And feel free to email me or Melissa if you have questions or ideas or suggestions, because this is an organic network. The Jeep is growing organically. We are trying to help support everyone that's working in the field and complement all the existing organizations that are doing such good work, like Eye on the Earth and so many of the organizations that many of you are connected to. So we look forward to working with all of you. And Derek, I don't know if any questions have come up, but we are happy to take questions.
Great. Thank you, Judy and Melissa and Gatri. So just before we go to the question section, I just need to transfer over to a spokesperson from the Eye on Earth Alliance, who has to express a thanks to you. So I'm going to open the microphone for Sam Barrett. Sam is the Chief of Education and Youth Ecosystems Division at UN Environment Head Office in Nairobi, Kenya, where he's.
So yeah, I just wanted to briefly say thank you, Derek, for offering the opportunity to offer appreciation for everyone in this network. I've been very impressed by everything I've just been listening to about the work of colleagues in the US, and I'd be very keen to see what we could do. I think what the Environment Agency in Abu Dhabi is supporting is really impressive. I think how WRI, UN Environment, IUCN and the GEO coming together around Eye on Earth is a critical network. Here at UN Environment, we are very keen to play a very active role in this network. I'm new in this job. I've only been in it a month. I used to run all the advocacy campaigns for UN Environment around marine litter and air quality and World Environment Day. And I agree with what was said earlier about the need for leadership. I think enough information is in the world. What I think we need to do is more about application and really try and support people to go on that journey into being the change makers that we so desperately need in order to steward the world in the direction it needs to go in. So just a huge vote of thanks to everyone in the network and Derek for giving me the opportunity to say a few words. We have just gone through a new strategy process here last week. We have 830 universities in our network with a population of, say, 4 or 5 million students. And we're going to be doing a lot of work with them on everything from trying to infiltrate not just environmental studies and sciences, but to see if we can mainstream this into MBAs, into the legal profession, into other student faculties. We're also keen to work in non-traditional areas such as the gaming sector and with big youth networks, see how we can take the message into not just an educational forum, but into other forums as well. And finally, we're keen, I think, as everyone has said in the previous contributors, we're just keen to partner and network and offer support where we can. So again, just fantastic to listen in onto this call. There's a lot we can do together. And I'm excited to see how else we can support from here. So thank you very much. That's it from me.
Great. Thank you very much, Sam, and thank you for joining us today and for your kind words.